Hello all, welcome to Success Channel. Today we are going to discuss about nuisance in housing societies as well as public places. Let's welcome our esteemed guest, Mr. Raj Dev Singh. He is partner King Stubb and Kasiva. He has experience in banking, financial services, real estate, media, etc. Let's start. So Rajdev, my question is if someone is putting a garbage bin in front of your common area where of the
Mhm.
home, or if somebody is throwing garbage in front of your home or your common area, right, or
Mhm.
somebody is spitting, right, or throwing
Yeah,
something which is it's not usual. So what is the
right.
legal remedy available? Can you take civil and criminal action against such guy?
Yeah, surely. So, yes, we can take and we must take. Apart from this, Abhijit, this is the problem that everyone is facing. So, whenever you go outside your home, or it could be near about your home, it could be around any complexes, it could be in the market, because normally everybody people lives there and they have their respective surroundings. So this is actually going to be a major challenge also. So before coming to that point, I would also like to highlight some areas wherein we have we are not seeing these kind of issues. So one is like airport. Whenever we go airport, and I was thinking earlier, like either we are uneducated, or we are educated but we are not behaving nicely. So when you see airport, when you go to metros, uh, then you can realize like it is something that is possible. It's not like it is not possible, but maybe we have to analyze why it is happening there and why not here. The other places, because we might have seen the court complexes also,
Right.
so and hospitals, and so these all areas are there. So that also includes our home where we live. So responsibility is something that one has to just look into. And if I just come to your question directly, so I would say among the most significant achievements of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the first stint has been the Swachh Bharat mission. So,
Right.
which aims to clean up the streets, road, and infrastructure of our countries, and of towns and rural areas. So, I would say this has been huge success campaign. But beyond this staggering success, there is an aspect of swachhata that has gone unnoticed from the radar of the Swachhata Abhiyan, which is the aspect of littering in public places and spitting and throwing garbage and all this. So probably I would say, there is no straightforward act so far that has been in place, but we as a society are quite indifferent to littering happily everywhere we go, and spitting gutka is, and we consider this as a coolest thing. People do that. So, however, apart from this, if we talk about the from the government prospect, so in the year 2019, a parliamentary panel has also recommended a law to penalize those who found, doing spitting and urinating and throwing garbage in public places. Uh, uh, so, a move aimed at providing a legal backing to the government's ambition of Swachh Bharat mission. It was also observed that Union Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry, which is mandated to implement the mission in urban area of country, agree that there is a necessity to make a nationwide legislation on Swachh Bharat mission, which is to ensure and enforce the desired level of cleanliness. So, and during COVID-19 also, the World Health Organization have also recommended to Government of India to consider to peruse your laws, your existing laws, and with respect to, especially with respect to spitting and littering and throwing garbages here and there. So at that point in time, I mean, I remember Disaster Management Act 2005 that has played a big role, and still it is going on. So it is now law is there in place. So wherein, but that's a, I mean, state purview, wherein different. I mean, all states have come, they have enacted their, I mean, there are many guidelines and rules that they have formulated and they have circulated, and that is there in place. So right now, if you talk about then spitting anywhere in public and like this, see, public definition is quite wide, Abhijit, as you know. So so this could be a subjective subject as well. So the rule came up after COVID-19 as a preventive measure to stop the spread of the disease. So, for example, we talk about Mumbai, then municipal corporation imposed a fine of 1,000 rupees for spitting in public places. Later, it was after that, because there was a lot of hue and cry in Mumbai at that point in time. It has started from there itself in Mumbai itself. Thereafter, it was opted by different states like Delhi, Bihar, Telangana, Jharkhand, UP. I mean, almost all states have covered this. After this, Government of India recognized spitting in public as a public offense and is punishable under Section 51B of the Disaster Management Act 2005. So this act of 2005 that made spitting in public places as punishable, and there is a fine and there is an imprisonment as well, which may go up to for a period of 1 year, or it could be penalty plus imprisonment both. So, so it is termed as a crime, and there are, other anti-spitting laws are also there in place. So, for example, if you go, then if it comes to the workplace or factories, then it is like Factories Act 1948 is there, wherein Section 28, Section 20 is involved. Thereafter, Indian Railway, I mean, they have their own rules with respect to the boundaries of Indian Railway. And then there are some anti-littering laws which was there, which is there in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar also, because I mean, there, I mean, you would find many places there wherein it has a lot of effect because of spitting and urinating and throwing garbage in public and common places. So government of Delhi also came up with bylaws regarding spitting in 2013, and then again recently. Uttarakhand has also some kind of law, and that was there in 2016, wherein the fine amount is exceeding more than 5,000. So, so there are other acts also wherein they are covering. For example, in Madras, Delhi, the Health Act 1939 is there in place, and in Tamil Nadu it is like the act called Provision of Smoking and Spitting Act is there itself of 2002. Likewise, in West Bengal, Prevention of Spitting in Public Places Act 2003 is there. So these are the laws wherein, I mean, we can always look into, and there are civil and criminal, both kind of liabilities are there, provided one has to use this. Specifically, if you talk about the Indian Penal Code, which was enacted, you can imagine, I mean, in 1860, but since then the law remains the same and it is quite effective, and people are supposed to use this, but somehow either we are not aware, or maybe we don't want to just go into, because I mean, when you talk about crimes, like people enjoy talking big crimes and not these kind of crime, and nobody, and this is something wherein, I mean, everybody is probably pissed off the moment when you step out of your office, or the moment you step out of your home. So if you talk about some specific laws in Indian Penal Code, Then there is a provision of imposing a punishment of 500 rupees, and there are some imprisonment also. But I mean, this is something that if you're going to report it, then only it is going to happen. If we talk about so there is a provision in IPC that is called 278, section 278, that talks about making atmosphere noxious to health. So, which also says that whoever voluntarily vitiates the atmosphere in any places so as to make it noxious to the health of a person in general, carrying on business or in the neighborhood or passing along a public way, shall be punished with fine which may extend to 500 rupees. In fact, IPC also defines, I mean, one of the provision that is called public nuisance, because Abhijit, we can link, I mean, these all factors with the public nuisance, and that does come under the definition of public nuisance. So it is very, very well covered actually under section 268. And if suppose there are some specific penalties are not given, then under 290, under section 290 of IPC, uh, everything is covered, because it talks about punishment for public nuisance in cases not otherwise provided anywhere. So whoever commits these all things, they can well covered into this. Thereafter, 290, section 291, I mean, that also talks about continuance of nuisance after injunction to discontinue. So if suppose if anyone repeats the crime, if anyone repeats or continue a public nuisance, and having been enjoined by any public servant and who has lawful authority to issue such injunction, not to repeat or to continue such nuisance, shall be punished with simple imprisonment, but with fine, or it could be both. So these are the respective provisions wherein, I mean, how beautifully, I mean, you can imagine how beautifully it has been defined. And even they are talking about continuing of nuisance as well. But until unless if we, I mean, as a citizen of this country, if we do not take any action, then no one is going to help us. So, this is all about, I mean, if talk about answering your question specifically.
Right. So all these, the explanations which you have given, I think it is equally applicable to a place where you are living in a flat system, right? And
Yes, yes.
yeah, if somebody is
In a
throwing,
plot,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, please go on. Yeah.
yeah. So in a flat system, if somebody is throwing garbage or putting garbage in a common place, or
Mm.
because of that,
Mm.
you are actually having some trouble, or somebody
Yeah.
spitting there, throwing the garbage from his house outside in the premises of your society. I think that can also be treated as a nuisance, and can be accordingly proceeded with under criminal provisions of law, right?
Yes. Yes, Abhijit, I would say, like, see, crystal clear law is there over here. And it's not about like what place is that. It is only about if you're spitting, urinating, throwing garbage. It could be anywhere. It could be public place. It could be your private place also. And I mean, if it comes to the private place, then the law is going to be more stricter. There are, I mean, a couple of more laws, acts that will come into. There would be many bylaws as well, which can be a society specific as well. So I think, yeah, apart from this, additionally, bylaws are there, and I mean, there are other mechanisms also wherein, I mean, you can go into, and if you think, see, straight away, I would say, if suppose you are annoyed and if you're irritated with anyone, the one thing that you can do is to call 100 number. Okay, I mean, this is the beginning that you can start. See, obviously, I mean, if you're living in a society, you can always go to the association. You can file your complaint, and if you think it is repetitive, then, I mean, directly go and call 100 number, call the police. I mean, they will understand, and from there, this is something that you can, I mean, start taking the action.
Right.
So yeah, that is well covered.
So, people think that like putting a garbage bag, right, a
Hmm.
garbage bag in a common area in society, or putting
Hmm.
newspapers, stake of newspaper in the society in a common area, or some stuff from
Hmm.
their house which is of no use, they put in the common area. I think that can also
Hmm.
be covered in a nuisance, right?
Absolutely, I think so, because if suppose there is any common place, so when you keep anything of your stuff, that can't be considered, because and that's your private, I mean, you can't say that property, but that's a private I mean wastage that you're trying to dispose it of, but this is not the right manner to dispose it of. There's a way out. I mean, every society, be it society or association, they have their own parameters, they have their own laws. And there would be some specific place wherein you can keep these wastage. So if suppose there is a dustbin, then I mean you are supposed to I mean drop it over there. So that doesn't mean, I mean, if suppose there is a common area which can be used by the neighbors and by you, you can't go and you can keep and I think Abhijit, this is quite common sense, right? I
Right.
mean, how you can even imagine to I mean keep place your wastage to any place which could be used by others. So this is quite common sense, and if common sense is there, then I think laws are also here. And if suppose you're not following the laws or the bylaws, then you can be penalized. There is
Right.
no doubt on that. Yeah.
So this answers my second question also, which is on spitting outside your balcony in the society premises. If somebody is spitting or throwing garbage in the common area of the society from their balconies, right? Smoking
Right.
cigarettes and throwing the buds in the society, that is also covered under nuisance.
Absolutely. See, spitting is something, I mean, to be very frank, before COVID-19, we were not probably analyzing what is the consequences, but after COVID-19 being in place, uh, I mean, nobody have thought like these kind of spitting thing is going to be a crime, and that could go up to a section 299 and 302 also, wherein if because of, if intentionally you're trying to do something, I mean, then absolutely it could be considered as a heinous crime. It has been considered as a heinous crime in various states. I mean, in UP, we have seen Tablighi Jamaat. We have seen other factors also that was highlighted in the newspaper, in the media as well. So yes, spitting from your balcony and I mean throwing out birds, smoking since not since inception, but I think the way I wish that the way smoking have been prohibited and the way it has been taken under control, I wish like spitting, urinating, and throwing garbage is something that has to be taken control as well, because I think this is the most successful, you can say, most successful issue that we have handled beautifully. And I think 100%, I mean, wherever I go, I did not find anyone smoking in public place, even though if they are doing that, then I have seen people to just be physical with them. Physical means, I mean, they are not fighting, just to use your hand and just take out the cigarette and just throw it out anywhere. So I have seen that, and people are quite aware. So if that can be possible, then this can also be possible. And I mean, you can imagine after that, our country, be it our country, society, or common places, is going to be quite beautiful. Because see, when you talk about foreign nation, when we talk about outside our nation, I mean, we always start with like look at the cleanliness that they have in the society on the roads. And I think I mean, we are also achieving that. That's not the case right now, leaving apart few places wherein the government is not there in action, the society people are not there in action. I mean, no one can help them, but wheresoever it is happening, I mean, it is possible. I mean, look at our airports, look at our metros. They are quite clean as they are there in foreign nation. So it
Right.
is very much possible. Yeah.
So, Rajdev, nowadays we invest in property so that we get
Mm,
good amount of income on that after a few years. But it is observed
mm,
that in societies usually, people put this garbages and their stuff outside in common areas, and due to that, when you try to sell your property, you never get good buyers, or your rates of
mm.
your property goes down. So, can you claim damages from such people? claiming that my property rate has gone down because of your actions.
Right. So, Abhijit, I think that is quite a good question. However, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I would not say that there are no laws as such, but again, I mean, in our country, what happens when there is a big crime, then everybody is just looking forward to resolve that. But these kind of claims and damages have not probably taken the attention of government of India or the parliament. Uh, However, it should have taken, because the first and foremost thing, law of tort is not there in India, which I, being a lawyer, I have read in the universities. I mean, I have read the book of law of tort, wherein everything is well covered. However, saying so, that doesn't mean like we don't have any laws, wherein, I mean, we have no laws, so anyone can do anything. This is not the situation. But to be very frank, I have seen, I mean, as a lawyer, I have seen very less number of cases, I mean, wherein people are doing this, because of the obvious reason, because as you know, I mean, it takes long time, and your motto is to sell your property. And I mean, it's it will probably not make any sense to people to go and claim for the damages, because see, maybe I am also in a mindset that probably I would not be able to do that. That's why I'm saying so, but that doesn't mean that there are no laws in place. So if it requires, then yes, we can do that. And to be able to sue someone for a private nuisance, you have to have standing, or the legal right to sue. Only an individual whose personal use of enjoyment of property is harmed may bring an action. This means that you have to have a property interest in the land. This is the foremost thing. So a property interest can include outright ownership of the land or the property, as well as interest of for a term such as tenant of an apartment building. So generally, the measure of damage for a private nuisance is compensation for the loss of injury or that is sustained. In addition to money damages, you may also wish to abate a private nuisance by removing or destroying it completely. So the traditional method of for abating a nuisance is an injunction.
Right.
So what is injunction? So apart from claiming the compensation that you can always take, you can always go. I mean, I'm just talking about the legal provision that we can go for an injunction, wherein, I mean, you can restrict. First of all, not only you can restrict, you can also claim for the damages. So yes, it is quite possible. So how you can do that? Obviously, I mean, we have to file an application before the respective court, and I mean, you can also first of all, again, uh, linking it to your first question about the civil and criminal liability, then it is obviously it is possible. So you can link it. So there you can take both the measures. First of all, you can report it to the police and take the criminal angle, and then after, so that it won't happen again, I mean, you can just file a complaint, wherein, I mean, you can also ask for the compensation and to restrain him to do any sort of thing. So and if you talk, and that can be possible by way of injunction. So an injunction is a basically a court order that requires that the other party to do or refrain from doing a specific act or acts. To receive an injunction, you must be able to show that you will suffer big loss, big harm, and because of that nuisance or all these activities. So courts use a balancing test to determine whether or not your potential injury outweighed the harm that caused uh, to the other side, uh, whether it is possible to prohibiting them from continuing this activity that may constitute a nuisance. So this is called a balancing of the hardship. So if by granting the injunction, the harm caused to you is minimal, and the harm caused to the opposite party is great, then the court will likely may deny the injunction, or grant you the money damage also. I mean, and not the injunction. So Alternatively, I would say if we talk about the criminal provision also, then Section 425 of IPC that talks about the mischief. So a person commits mischief if he causes a destruction of property, knowing that he is likely to cause wrongful loss or damage to the public or any person, even if an intention to cause that damage is not made out. So 425 is the section under which you can go and you can, you have the criminal rights also to, if suppose someone is infringing. So I think again, clear-cut laws are there in place. This is again depends on the individual who just go and just take a control of this, take action, and then do the needful for themselves.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, in societies, usually people have a habit of not paying maintenance amount, monthly maintenance amount. So,
yeah.
we would like to understand what is the recourse available, right? And can we attach their properties?
Okay, so I think that is going to be a big question because specifically, I would say like there is no specific laws that talks about the same. However, there are some closest definition wherein a closest law wherein we can just go into and then we can probably find it out. So, and I think this is a major challenge, to be very frank, because the society where I also live in, I have seen there is a message that goes on and that always come every month, like these are the people, and this particular cost that may go into crores.
Right.
The no one can probably would be able to. It is not difficult to understand like why. We are paying maintenance. Usually, I have seen people who are not living in that particular premises. They are, probably not paying, or maybe if the renters are there, then they are not paying that, or maybe the landlord is not because he's not. They are not living there, so uh, but even though, see, if you're not living there, if you have just given this property on rent, then you're earning somehow somewhere, and why, you can be so irresponsible by paying not these maintenance charges, because these are the charges because of which property, the entire society runs, and be it cleanliness or any other factor. So these are all totally dependent on this particular amount only. So so if you go anywhere and if you find the society is quite beautiful, it is just, the major role that is played is because of the maintenance charge. If you don't pay, then how you can imagine to be to make your society beautiful.
Right.
So so it is the duty of the members to regularly pay the maintenance charges to the society. Otherwise, the very purpose of having a cooperative society would be defeated, since every member has to make his contribution towards the society in the spirit of the cooperation. So, uh, see what exactly now the question comes: what exactly if someone is not paying? So, first of all, there would be some bylaws which every society have their system to operate. Uh, so it depends on that particular bylaws, first of all, and there are many ways to enforce the people, to penalize the people, and not only to attach the property. That could be the last recourse that one can take. But if we talk about uh, we have an act which regulates these residential welfare societies. So that is called Societies Registration Act 1860 is there. And now in 2016, Real Estate Regulation and Development was also, this act was also enacted. So there are a few provisions which also talks about, and the penalty which also talks about the how to penalize and how you can, what kind of recourse that you can take. So obviously, if it's a registered society, then then obviously benefit is going to be there, and I think 99 point more than 99% the societies are supposed to be registered, and they are registered. So if we talk about laws, then Section 19 is there in Real Estate Act 2016. So that talks about rights and duties of allottees. So there are some provision like sub clauses there of 6, 7, and 8. That is quite important. So Section 19(6) that talks about that every allottee who has entered into an agreement for sale to take an apartment, plot, building, any case, shall be responsible to make necessary payment in the manner and within the time as specified in the said agreement for sale, and shall pay at the proper time and place. Uh, that also includes the registration charges, municipal taxes, water and electricity, and also maintenance charges. It could be another factor could be like ground rent, or there could be other charges as well. 19(7) also talks about that the allottee shall be liable to pay interest at such rate as may be prescribed for any delay in payment towards any amount or charges to be paid under subsection 6. So now this 19(7) gives a right to the society to charge the interest. This is, I mean, the first thing that you can impose. Apart from this, 19(8) also talks about that the obligation of the allottees under subsection 6 and the liability towards interest under section 7 may be reduced when mutually agreed to between promoter and such allottees. Now, there are. I would also talk about my society example. So, what exactly happens there? So, by way of the example, I would also inform that how exactly it happens. So, as I talk about, apart from these laws, bylaws are there. So, what happens in our society? If suppose someone is not paying more than 4 installment or 4 months EMIs, then no service people is going to attend your issue. So let's say if somebody is coming to install something to your house, then they would not be able to come via this method. So one list is going to be given to the gatekeeper, to the security. They might stop you. I mean, they can't. They are not going to stop the owner, but yes, that could be the last recourse. But this is from where you can stop. And regular publication of the of the defaulter list of the defaulter is one of the mechanism, because some kind of embarrassment has to happen, then only, I mean, people might realize this, like what kind of issue they are just trying to create, and it might mess up the entire society also. So apart from this, when this accumulates, I mean, for long, then see, I can clearly see that uh, damages and property that can be attached. To be very frank, I mean, though, I mean, as I said, I mean, there is no clear provision as such, but when this amount goes on and on, and if suppose someone is not clearing, so for example, how we can do that? One example could be, if I am selling my property out, then in every society now there is a provision of taking NOC. So until unless you have the NOC from the previous owner, you can't go and you can't take property, right? So I think this is the best way. If suppose you are selling the property, then the society has an opportunity to get the amount realized. So let's say if the amount goes on and on, and if the person is not paying, then absolutely we have civil remedies under which we can go, and we can just try, ultimately we can just try to attach the property as well. But normally, to be very frank, I mean, I have not seen going anything at that level, because normally if you do that, if you take any action, then usually it is paid. If not at that point in time, then, I mean, at the time of selling out the property and all that, it happens. Yeah. So this is
Right.
how we can tackle it out. Yeah.
Right. So once legal action is taken, people usually pay, or at the time of
Yes.
selling, they usually pay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So my next question is relevant for COVID scenario now.
Mhm.
People after multiple reminders, they continue to put garbage in common areas, or litter, or throw their stuff outside. right? Or
mm,
doesn't keep hygiene in the common areas of the society. If because
mm,
of this, if someone gets COVID, okay,
mm,
or some disease which is, which leads to death of that person, can it be
mm,
treated as culpable homicide amounting to murder?
mm. Uh, that's very true actually, and I think as a common man believer, you have understood the subject. And to be very frank, when this COVID lockdown was there, then it and when I was also seeing many media report wherein uh, people are carelessly actually going outside, and I mean they are spitting. Somebody also, I mean, the people were also, I mean, there are few sections of people, they have also tried to do this intentionally as well. I don't know, I mean, what is the fact, what is the truth or not, but uh, at that point in time also, I mean, it came in my mind, then there has to be some provision wherein, I mean, see, because it is equivalent to that only. It's a matter of time only, wherein let's say if I am, and nobody knows, like let's say if I'm doing some intentional act like this, and you don't know the opposite person, I mean, whosoever is just going to suffer, you don't know whether the person is a patient or not, right? So this is something where the laws also plays very important role. And if because of your act, if somebody is just going to die, and I mean ultimately because of COVID, then yes, I mean action can be taken. And I think many states have taken a step. I think UP I've seen taking such step wherein, I mean, they have registered some cases like that. What is the result of these cases? I am not sure at this point in time. I have not seen the charge sheet also, at what kind of charges that have been framed. But I think because I also practiced before Honorable Supreme Court and High Court, and there we talk about jurisprudence. So I think that jurisprudence wise, it is quite clear subject that intentionally, and if by knowing that by my act somebody is just going to be somebody can die, then absolutely, I mean, this should fall under section 299. I mean, I have no doubt on that. And as I said, the state have already taken steps. They have registered cases. I'm not sure what is the status of the case, but ultimately, if not today, but tomorrow, we will hear like what kind of result that have come out of after imposing these kind of sections
Right.
uh, because of that. However, not specifically, if we talk about 299 is something, in country like us, wherein a lot of crimes are happening. It's not about our country, it is there everywhere. And but I mean, people don't think, people, I mean, we have to believe, first of all, belief system have to be changed. So somebody's thinking, oh, I have just spit, so how can I be charged under section 299? That is, I mean, a murder charge. So I mean, I haven't murdered. I mean, so you don't require to use any weapon to murder the people. So ultimately, see, I think there are many judgment in past also, that because of your act, if somebody's ultimately dies, then charges are going to be there, and there would be a penalty that may or may not equivalent to 10 years of imprisonment or more, but it could be lesser, but charges can be imposed. There is no doubt on that. I mean, spitting is one, could be one of the crime. The example, that the question that you have framed and you have asked, but there could be other examples as well. Apart from this, I would also like to add, via this discussion, there are provisions in chapter 14th of Indian Penal Code that specifically deals with offense affecting the public health, safety and convenience, and decency and morals. So wherein section 268, I have also covered that in past, but in very short, I would like to cover that. Section 268 is there, that defines about public nuisance. Word is specifically defined over there. And then section 269 is there, wherein it says negligent act likely to spread infection of disease dangerous to life. So this is something is there. Section 271 is there. and 290 is there. So these kind of punishment is there and provisions are there. So I think you are right, and Section 299 is something that can be imposed, and that have been imposed in past. But what is the future of these sections, considering these kind of crimes? That is something that we have to look into. We have to wait for the same, wait for the result.
Right. So it was a great discussion, Rajdev, and thanks for joining Success Channel and sharing your knowledge. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Abhijit. Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.